Greetings, YouTube. As promised, today is Friday, and I'm going to do the answers to the questions and answers video I put up earlier this week because I have 1,000 plus subscribers as of today. I think it was 1,017 as of today. So, hopefully this won't take too long. I have a fair number of questions here. Let's start out with number one. How about an over-the-net RPG session with some of your subscribers? That isn't a horrible idea. Unfortunately, my current docket is book solid for like possibly the next year because I'm in the process of trying to buy a home and then moving in and everything entails that. So it isn't something I'm going to say no to, but I have no clue when that window of opportunity would open. If you could experience but not alter any event in the past, where and when would it be? Sitting in my grandmother's kitchen, eating vanilla ice cream with green grapes. Okay, one question I have been dying to ask. What box sets are on your shelf over your left hand shoulder? That one over there. I actually have a video of the entire tour of that, which is called the Box Gaming Tour. I believe it's what the video is called. I will try to find it and put a link to it in the info bar. Do you believe in God or science? Yes. What fictional character would you most like to meet and what would you say? Bill Murray's character from Lost in Translation. And I would ask him, what did you whisper? Question, have you ever played or looked at any non-American role-playing games? Or more specifically, have you ever played or looked at any Swedish role-playing games? I own a few non-English games. They're curiosities to me because I'm an American. I only speak one language. I don't think I've ever looked at any Swedish ones in particular. I have heard good things about some Swedish role-playing games in the past, but I've never really looked at any of them. Sorry about that. Question. In one of your vids you talked about a Dyson sphere. My question to you is, what would your animal life evolve inside a Dyson sphere? Or would its evolution, they said, its evolution or die? Could it be a Dyson sphere, move on, and live due to all the near endless room they're in? Well, I think inside of a Dyson sphere you'd have very little evolution for that reason. So with so much space, if you start getting crowded, since the evolutionary pressure is alleviated by you can just move on. So unless you the animals found themselves boxed essentially, so they could not escape, there wouldn't really be much reason to evolve. You just move away. So whatever animals get dumped there for after the terraforming process was finished, I think wouldn't alter a great deal. What do you think will be the future of tabletop role-playing games? Will we still have traditional books printed? Will we see only PDFs, or will the hobby die out? I don't think it's going to die out. It's been around for 30-something years. I don't think it's going anywhere. I do see most producers of product, of the actual role-playing material, going to a digital format. But I also see all of them putting their material available on services like Lulu, so a third party can print them if the consumer wants them. So at the same time we're seeing a heavy digital content, we're going to see the printing process completely disengaged from the producer, and it's going to be handled by a third party. And as print on demand becomes more common and more easily accessible, that to me will be the model that we'll see in the future. Which is fine by me, because then you have access to both types of material, which is really good. Options are nice. What is your favorite word in the English language? Flange. What was the first computer RPG you were ever really into, if any? Ultima. I played Ultima 1 through 4, 3 being my favorite. I loved the heck out of that game. Most memorable role-playing encounter or moment? I've actually done at least 2 of these videos in the past, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you. After 1,100 videos, I do not remember what they're called, but they're out there. One I talked about the Overkill campaign, and one I discussed an adventure dealing with the ghost of a composer. I've been wondering for the longest time, what do you do career-wise? I work in a factory. That's what I do career-wise. I run an industrial press. I push a button, the press closes, the mold closes, it makes a part, X number of seconds later or minutes later, the mold opens. During that intervening time, I trim and inspect and rack or shelve or box the parts that I made on the previous cycle. Machine opens up, I remove the parts, hit the button again, and the whole thing starts over again. Depending on the part in question, I could be making hundreds or thousands of pieces in an 8-hour shift. It's really boring. It's why I have lots of time to think about YouTube videos. If you were on death row, what would be your final meal? Water. That's it. I can't imagine I'd want to eat much. If you could find a magic lamp and a genie would pop out and grant you one wish with no strings attached, what would you wish for? The elimination of all disease. If you didn't wish for a superpower, that is a separate question. What superpower or what character superpowers would you want to have? If I had a single superpower, that would be teleportation. It's always my go-to superpower. And if I could have one set of superpowers from an existing character, of course, Superman's nice. He's really powerful. But I think a lot of his abilities aren't all that useful in many ways. Green Lantern's cool, but it's all in the ring, which can be taken away from you. So my go-to character for this is John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. An awesome selection of powers. Second most powerful alien after Superman in the DC universe. He'd be a lot of fun to have powers of. Can you think of an example of a fictional character from each alignment in D&D? That's too big a question for this particular video. I will, however, take that under consideration as an idea for a future video. Will you have your wife in your vids more, and will she be dressed like Slave Leah? My wife is in the videos as often as she wants to be. She's home most of the time when I'm filming videos, and she's in them as often as she feels like. She doesn't discuss politics, really. She doesn't review books or movies or role-playing games, so it's pretty much the road trip videos that I do. And she has decided to decline your offer of getting into a Slave Leah costume. I did ask. What is your name? My first name is James, and that's all you're getting. Do you like Digimon or Pokemon? I actually had two different questions here, and I'm going to disappoint Blaze, but I have never gotten into either Digimon or Pokemon. Not the animation, not the card games, not the video games, nothing. It was just never something that ever interested me. Sorry, folks. What did you decide? Why did you decide to become a liberal? It wasn't really a decision. It was something I considered inevitable. When I was young, I did not understand history, economics, or social justice. As I got older, I began to understand those things. And once I began to have a grasp of those topics, I realized that the only logical conclusion was to become a liberal progressive. That the only way I could see remaining a conservative would be to be willfully ignorant, which is the only sin I recognize. What is the airspeed of an unladen swallow? 24 miles an hour. Dallas or Dynasty? Neither. I don't watch soap operas. Batman or Superman? Batman. Tucked in or tucked out? Completely dependent on the temperature. Watchmen or Unbreakable? While both interesting, I preferred Watchmen. Have you ever peed on an electric fence? No, but as a child, I did pee in a hamster while sleepwalking. What is your favorite class or class combo? Do you like DMing? And what is your greatest moment in gaming? I mentioned the gaming thing earlier. When I was really active in gaming, I was the internal DM. I DM forever. Favorite class? When I play characters, I tend to like fairly simple things. I pretty much like to break stuff. Fighters, rangers, things like that. What country would you like to visit for a vacation? I would love to someday stand on Hadrian's Wall and look into Scotland and realize that this is where the Roman Empire stopped. What made you start doing YouTube videos? Pretty much inspired by the Vlog Brothers. The fact that I knew I could plug a camera into my computer and then I'm an opinionated bastard. Have you ever heard the horrific game Fatal? If you have, then please tell me how you found out about it and what was your reaction to it. Not only have I heard of it, I've downloaded the actual game itself and not having read the entire thing, but skimmed it and realized just how horrible it is. I've also read an incredibly comprehensive review on RPG.net, which was very entertaining and horrifying in its own right. I heard about it from some message board, I think, is where I picked up on it. And it's an absolutely horrible, despicable game, and it shows the absolute dark side of humanity. I don't recommend anyone ever researching Fatal. Your top 5 people on YouTube. Now, this is something that changes over time. Who I liked 2 or 3 years ago is not who I like necessarily now. So I'm going to give you the ones that at this moment I think are my top 5 people that I watch on YouTube that I find the most entertaining. The first is someone named Malia. Her channel is known as Au Paris. She is an American au pair living in Paris. She is R-rated, so if you don't like foul language, don't watch her stuff. But she does humorous videos, vlogs, cooking videos, which are funny, and she's even done a yoga video. Second, the Gentleman Gamer. I always love watching Matt. I find him endlessly entertaining. Next, Elmify, someone who I've spoken about before in the past in the liker chain, and she is quite entertaining. Does mostly vlogging type stuff, talking about schooling and music and things like that. Next would be Cassandra from Nerds RL, who is a Canadian woman who wants to be stunt doubling. And she is unbelievably chipper, and she makes me smile almost every time I watch her. And last, I'm going to count them together, are John and Hank Green, the Vlog Brothers. To me, they started it all. I really enjoy watching their videos, even to this day. Okay, next is people you would like to meet, and this is a slightly different list. First, I'm going to count John and Hank together. I would like to meet the Vlog Brothers and hang out with them. That would be cool. Second, the Gentleman Gamer. I would love to hang out with Matt and meet his lady. I think that would be awesome. Next would be Sean Mulhall, known as the Silver Fox, and there's a link down here. He is a British bloke who's into outdoor crafts, primitive crafts, woodsmanship, things like that. Very entertaining, very bright guy. I love watching his stuff. He seems like someone I would really enjoy spending time with. The next is a couple, so I'm counting them together because they live together, so I would be seeing them together. And that would be Cara and Skall, 2 of my friends. They currently live in Trondheim, Norway. And last but not least, who actually asked this question, my friend Amelia, who lives in the UK. I find her entertaining. She's my friend, and I really find a lot of her abstract art fascinating. Okay, how did you get so many subscribers if you consider it to be a lot? I don't know how I got so many subscribers. It's a lot to me. It's a lot fewer than many others, but it's a whole lot to me, and I'm happy for everyone I've got. I'm not completely sure why anyone's here. So you'd have to ask the subscribers that, I guess. Or why did you start and thought would happen when I started. I hoped people would listen. I hoped people would comment, that we could engage in this process, that it would be a dynamic event as opposed to the static event that is watching television. What would you consider the corniest thing you have ever said? I looked a girl in the eyes and I said, "Can I ask you a question?" And she said yes. And I said, "Can I kiss you?" And the line worked. Have you ever taken classes to make your voice sound relaxing, and if so, where? Well, no, actually, and the reason I have a very modulated, even tone to my voice is unfortunately not a particularly pleasant reason. As a child, I was raised by an abusive alcoholic. I modulated my voice because that meant I wouldn't set my father off. I wouldn't piss him off. I wouldn't get yelled at. I wouldn't be told I'm stupid. And I wouldn't get hit. And it's just how I learned to speak. I apologize if that's upsetting to some people, but it's the reason. Favorite book, if you have one. Too big a question for this video because I started thinking about it, and it's like I'm thinking like, what category? Because there's so many different genres. So I will do a video about that particular question in the future. If you don't answer that question, I have another one. Welcome to the Good Burger, home of Good Burger. May I take your order? I don't eat fast food, so no, you may not. Best worst movie you have ever seen, ever saw to date. The best, Blade Runner, hands down. Worst, that would be Showgirls. And why was it that the worst? Because I've seen some really horrible movies, because there's nothing in the world I love more than women. And a film full of naked women, really attractive naked women, should have been a pure and simple winner. But it wasn't. It was one of the most horrible pieces of dreck I have ever seen in my life. And because it should have been something so awesome, and was something so horrible, it's my worst. Why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. I used to be 7 as well. What is your most early memory? I was in a crib in the hospital, standing up while a nurse walked towards me with a needle in her hand. I was in the hospital because I had pneumonia and I had a temperature that peaked out at 105. I was not a well child that particular time. Biggest amount of money you ever wasted on an RPG game that stunk? $30. I'm pretty good at picking games, but not always. Have you ever thrown a Baby Ruth into a public swimming pool? No, and when the last time I was at a public swimming pool, it was before the movie Caddyshack had been released. So, I never thought of it. What do you think of the mecha, all kinds, super robots, real robots genre in anime and the mecha RPGs out there, Heavy Gear, Mechton, etc.? Some of them are intriguing. I've never played one. I've never really had a desire to play one. Powered armor is something that's kind of intrigued me. Some of the kind of stuff that you might find in Rifts I thought was kind of cool. But I've never really been into the whole mecha thing. Because I think that, a tiger pit would take out most mechas. Two-legged tanks are not a good design in my book. I think it's not very smart. And do you have any martial arts training, hand-to-hand, not weapons? Absolutely none. I actually have no weapons training. Weapons training, I know, is purely academic. I have never taken any martial arts training of any kind, other than some very brief work with learning how to fight in the SCA, the Society of Creative Anachronism, using real armor and fake swords made out of rattan. That's the closest I ever came to actually learning how to fight with a weapon. Other than that, the only thing I have close to that, using a weapon for combat purposes, would be firearms. And I am a decent shot with a pistol. I can hit a human-sized target up to about 30 feet consistently. And that's all you really need in urban situations. And I'm a good shot with a rifle. I can consistently hit a rifle, hit a target with a rifle with a great deal of accuracy, though I am woefully out of practice in either of these things. But at one time, I knew how to use them with some skill. So those are the questions I had. I hope I answered everyone's questions to your satisfaction. I look forward to whatever comments you have about them, and I'm sure that you may have questions that have spurred by these, and I may answer them in this comment section. I may do another video. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. And maybe I'll do this again when I hit the next 1,000 subscribers. Who knows? So I'd like to thank everyone who participated with this particular video, and again, thank all of my subscribers. I appreciate you being here. Thank you.